Good morning, everybody. Welcome back for installment of Scott Selections here for Thursday, June 17th. For again today's play of the day, quick recap of it. So we had a nice easy winner in hockey with the Montreal Canadiens plus 1.5 goals at minus 122 on FanDuel. Really never in doubt, Canadians were up 3-0 in the second period. Vegas almost came back and ended up sending the game into overtime, but that was of no concern to us because we had Montreal losing by less than 2 goals and they ended up winning the game. So really, really easy. Plus, for fun, I said the score was going to be 3-2 or 2-1. It was 3-2. And I said that Carey Price would finish with around 30 saves on 32 shots. And he had 29 saves on 31 shots. So very close, almost getting a trifecta of calls correctly. But we'll settle for 2 out of 3 with the profit as well. Looking at the actual play of the day here for Thursday, we're going to be going back to basketball. It's going to be on the game between the Nets and the Bucks, which will be game 6 of this series. And for the play of the day, we like the Bucks in the first half, minus 3.5 at minus 110 on Bet Online. Time recording of 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Covering why I like the Bucks in this spot. First of all, Kyrie's still out for Brooklyn, probably going to be out for the rest of the series, but he's officially out for Game 6. Now, you look at Game 5, of course, there's a massive choke job by Milwaukee, but on the bright side or the silver lining in the situation is the fact that they were up 16 points at halftime before the team completely fell apart in the second half. So I do think that the Bucks should be able to get off to a decently hot start following the pretty hot start they got off to in Game 5, especially with the crowd behind them in the home arena for Milwaukee. But the point you have to look at for the Nets is that even though they won that game and Milwaukee fell apart, the Nets still had an all-time great performance by Durant, went for 49, 17, and 10, played all 48 minutes. You look at Jeff Green, who had 27 points. I don't think people really had that on their NBA bingo cards. You also had James Harden, who played 46 minutes with a bad hamstring, was awful, went 1 for 10 from the floor, 0 for 8 from 3. And he also couldn't really guard anybody, but Milwaukee just didn't go at him at all for some weird reason. But I do think that with those amount of minutes being played by Durant and Harden, fatigue should play a serious factor. You talked about how Durant was, I'd say, shockingly playing 48 minutes in a must-win game for Brooklyn because of the serious injury that he had about a year or two ago and how people weren't sure if he could handle it physically. Of course, he ended up handling it quite well, but the point is this will be the first time that he's played the game after playing 48 minutes, not coming out at all. I do think that Durant might look a little bit tired as this game progresses. Plus, Harden, 46 minutes with a bad hamstring is not going to help your cause. And Harden, if you watched him play, he just couldn't move. I know that he made some decent passes and rebounding. He was okay. And he had the big defensive stop against Giannis late. But you're really talking about any type of pick and roll, or if any guy got a head of steam against him, he was basically a traffic cone. People just kept blowing past him. I think Budenholzer might be awful at making adjustments at halftime or mid-game. But with about a day and change to look at the film from Game 5, I do think he's going to come up with an actual strategy to attack Harden offensively almost every time. Maybe use Giannis as a screener a little bit more, but the Nets still only scored 43 points in the first half in Game 5 before the team went nuts for 71 in the second half, and Durant had, I believe, 32 points into the second half. But the question still remains for me, which is the fact that if Harden's going to struggle and Durant does not go for 50 or so, do I think the other Nets guys can step up and carry the load? And the answer is probably not. I think that even though Giannis can't shoot free throws, he still should end up scoring, I'd say, 17-plus points in the first half. Middleton's been playing pretty well lately. Holiday's been awful. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that. But I do think that with Harden being well less than 100%, probably about 50%, and with Durant potentially dealing with some fatigue, I do think Milwaukee at home should be able to get off to a fast start and open up a decent lead at halftime. You might be concerned, how does the team respond to one of the biggest choke jobs, I'd say, in recent memory, until yesterday and what Philly did. Shout out to you 76ers. But I do think Milwaukee with the crowd is going to try to put their best foot forward. And I do think at the first half, it's a good spot for Milwaukee to get off to a fast start. But I'm not going to take them on the full game because I think this Bucks team is one of the dumbest teams I've ever seen in terms of basketball IQ or lack thereof. So I don't trust this Bucks team for 48 minutes, but for 24, not that bad. So the play of the day, once again, here for Thursday, June 17th, is going to be on the Milwaukee Bucks first half, minus 3.5 at minus 110 on Bet Online. Bye, everyone.